Hey, beautiful art community. Thank you for watching another episode. Be sure to subscribe to Urban Artist Talk. Your subscription will help us to bring on more guests and make sure that we fund this whole project. So thank you for watching another episode, and we look forward to your support.
A car of four masked men were barreling towards me the wrong way down 15th, and they saw me see them, and I ran to my car, and before I was able to open my car, they all hopped out and got in my car and robbed me.
Wow.
And got back in their car and took off. And
They didn't take your car.
no, they didn't take my car. They just took my things. They didn't touch me, luckily. And I have been ruminating on this because this whole show is, at the beginning of every single show, we do a speech. Mm-hmm. And I had shared, Oakland gets a really bad rap.
It does.
It gets a really,
some people
really,
don't help
really
it with its
rap
either. But...
No, not at all. And this whole show is about honoring what's good here and the women who are making really, really solid change and just trying to focus on the positives of what is here and what we need to nourish. And it was just the irony of that happening at the end of clearing out that show and that happening was really jarring, but just, went upstairs and I kept working.
Give me the paint, give me the chalk, give me the urban artist talk. Conversations from the heart. From the start, we set apart. Art a la carte. Now check it.
And welcome back to another episode where we talk about local artwork as well as international artwork and the things that just inspire us. Today we have a special guest. I got a chance to privy her work almost a year ago inside of the Square building, the old Sears building in downtown Oakland. As soon as I saw it, I was amazed and just like, who is this? Today we have the pleasure of having a conversation with none other than Taylor Smalls.
Hello.
Taylor, how you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to chat with you.
Man, we are going to chat.
Yes.
Is there anything that's off topic? I feel like we've already had some nice bagel conversation.
Absolutely. I would say, what's your favorite smear?
Favorite smear?
Schmear.
What is the smear?
Your spread.
My spread?
Yes, on a bagel.
Oh my goodness. When I said what was off topic, and then I don't know why my mind went a whole different direction when she asked smear. I was like, are we allowed to talk about that on
Absolutely.
Because my smear might be different than other people's smear. Now where's everybody's mind going?
We're skipping.
Okay. My favorite smear would definitely have to be what
this is
flavor
important
of hummus?
Information.
It's always hummus.
Okay.
I'm a hummus guy. It's so funny because as a vegetarian, I found hummus late in my life because I don't know why. I thought it was something other than chickpea. I thought there was some butter or milk in there because it just looked so creamy. But
olive
hummus.
oil.
I'm gonna go with hummus.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Yeah. And yours?
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So now that we are here, I would like to. Where do we even start?
Where do we begin? As Sarah Perel would say, where do we begin?
So let's start here. How do you identify as an artist?
Oh my goodness.
Jump straight into it.
Okay. I would say, how do I identify as an artist? I would say I am a Black female palette knife painter for the most part, who is trying to amplify women who are change makers in communities and in cities as a whole. That's how I would identify. I'm a designer as well. Background is in architecture. I love space making. And I think that space making and place making is fully integrated into actual studio art as well, and how people feel in spaces by way of the work around them. So all of it ties together,
Yeah.
I would say placemaker.
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 And with a background in architecture, it just makes so much sense. So can you tell us a little bit more about just like your background as an architect and just even that transition into
Yeah.
artist or placemaker?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to school at University of San Francisco, at the University of San
Nice.
Francisco, and studied architecture. I knew I wanted to be an artist when I was in high school. Um, I had applied for like SCAD in Savannah and, all of like the major art
So you
schools.
were an artist at heart, even as you were pursuing the
Baby.
architecture.
When I was baby. I
Okay.
feel like that it came through and through when I was like very young.
Nice.
But yeah, when I was in high school, I finally got to start taking art classes and just realized that like I was very good at observing, and I just love to watch everything around me, and I can like pick apart um not just what I'm seeing, but just like shadow and space and like all of that. And so I just dove into art very young, but didn't take it seriously until the end of my like high school period. And was like, can I go to school for this? No, I will never make any money. This is a terrible idea. Like, I should do something artistic, but not like actually being like a full-time artist.
Right.
So I went into architecture. I just felt that was like most logical. And that was in 2012. And that was a very, very bad point in like our economy. And so everybody was like, your daughter's doing what? Why? She's going into architecture school? That's a terrible idea. But it was really beautiful, like going through that entire process in San Francisco and coming out. And like, obviously the world changes so rapidly throughout the years. And so come, the time I was graduating in 2016, economy was great and everybody wanted an architect and everybody like we're living in San Francisco. And so it's just like it worked out very well. So I was doing that, but in doing that, I realized school is fake and what they teach you in school is the most like rosy side of what you could be doing. So I was told that I was going to be like building these like beautiful, like, crazy buildings and homes and all of this. And I'm going to have so much agency. And then you actually go into the field and you're just like it's really not that. And you're kind of pigeonholed in many ways. So simultaneously I needed an outlet. And I was just painting on the side. So I like very much declared myself as like a Sunday painter because that was the time that I had. And Sundays were actually the days where I was like, nobody talk to me, get away. I'm turning off my phone. And I was able to continue my artistic practice like basically on Sundays and start to show. And so that was always important to like have agency and like what I wanted to create, even though I was working full time in my field.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and what was the moment, or if you could share a story where you knew that you were no longer going to do architecture, but you decided that, you know what, art, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah. Well, I think about these things in terms of momentum versus like one-off moments.
Yeah.
I saw I saw a lot of people reaching out to me and saying like what the work meant, or I would have opportunities that came seemingly out of the woodwork, which never is really out of the woodwork. If you're putting in time, nothing comes out of the woodwork. But like to me in that space, like it felt like there were projects coming or commissions coming or connections with people that were like, I'm going to buy 6 pieces from you and you need to ramp up and change your pricing and all of that. And it's like, oh, okay. Wait. All right. Got it.
Good problem.
Good problem. And then there would be, you know, a company that came and would be like, we would like you to talk, like just speak. And I was like, huh, like, wait, why are people, you know, approaching me about this? So there were a lot of, you know, signs all around that were coming. And I don't want to, you know, be too woo woo, but like when you see so many happening in like rapid succession, you have to listen to it. You can't ignore it. And so I decided, you know, post pandemic, we were supposed to go back into office, and I tried my hardest. I tried. I went back into office, and I was there for about a month and a half. And my employers at the time had made some like really lovely concessions for me that were really wonderful, so I could work more in my studio. But I just realized like over and over, more of those opportunities started to come in, and it was just like, Taylor, you gotta go. You gotta leave and lean into this. You have to lean into the thing that has been making you happy throughout like this very challenging time for everybody. So that's when I left.
Man, that's interesting, because I feel like the pandemic was a very pivotal moment for, I mean, the whole world, you know, and really just how do we, you know, reach places of understanding and overcoming, you know, obstacles or, you know, things that come into our daily life. But I want to hear from you on just like, how do you stay true to the fact that now being a full-time artist with, you know, the world keeps spinning, how do you stay in that creative zone knowing that, you know, there's so much going on? Where do you gain your inspiration from at times? Or what am I really trying to get at? Not just what is your inspiration, but as a Black female artist, what is your driving force when being an artist is not the easiest thing in the world to be?
Sure.
You know, even when projects come, there's always down moments. And like, how do you navigate, I guess this is my question, how do you navigate those moments of not feeling successful, but still staying in your creative zone?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna maybe reframe that a little bit, because I'm gonna try not to sound very pompous.
Sound pompous.
I will sound pompous maybe, but
this is your stage.
I am gonna say that I've never not felt successful.
Good answer.
Yeah. I even when I just, you know, I was fortunate enough to go to like get higher education and go to college. But, you know, even at that point when I graduated, and I was literally working for the government. I was working for SFO, for their architecture department, for a couple years. And even at that point, I was like in cubicles and looking around, and I was like, this sucks. But like, I am so fortunate. At every stage of my life, I have felt like I have already succeeded completely. And if things ramp up, if things build, then let's go. Like, I want that. But I have always felt like if things plateau, not in a stage of like contentment, but like I am actually like really happy and fortunate, and like life is not bad right now. And so I think that, to answer your question, like when we say like it's hard to be an artist, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think if you are actually functioning as a full-time working artist, you have already you cheated the fucking system. Like truly, like you've gotten there, because the way I think about it is, if you are working.
Are you an artist struggling to sell your artwork? I know the feeling. I've been there, so much so that I decided to publish a book, The Art of Articulation. This book will help you not only navigate the art world, but give you the vocabulary to step into a room with confidence so you can sell your artwork. Pick up this book on Amazon today.
On your own time, when things feel good to you and you're able to create from your experience, you're living in a renaissance stage. And like, what is that? It's living in like an area of enlightenment where you are not like things are not being pressed upon you. You are not working by other people's rules. You are able to create. And if you have the capacity to have the discipline to continue to create and well up, then you're good.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't have to be a blue chip artist by any means. You can just be making, living on your own accord, and you're super solid. Like, that's
true.
good. That's good. So I feel successful.
Yeah.
I feel successful right now. I don't feel like it's hard to be an artist. If we're talking about like financially, love to talk about money. I love to talk about money. You have to understand that. But like financially, like living in the Bay, it is one thing. Obviously, like I think that the Bay Area is more expensive than like New York right now.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, I think that again, I would be happy to like share so many resources with people, but like I think that there are many hacks, many ways to go about living as an artist in the Bay Area. And like, truth be told, this comes down to like getting your systems right from the foundational level before you try and jump off and become a full-time artist. Getting your spreadsheets in order, getting your taxes in order, make yourself like a sole proprietor, like do all those things first and foremost. And then you're going to be able to like figure out your life very easily from that solid foundational level.
Yeah.
But
no, it makes sense. And then, you touched upon an interesting point. So, in the pursuit of full-time artistry, do you think it's important? And this is, in hindsight, I'm like, yes, definitely. You should definitely set up yourself as a sole proprietor. These are all things that I did after. But I'm looking and wondering, chicken or the egg? What do you feel should come first? Practicing and honing your craft, or setting up yourself to be
good question.
more ready for the business aspect of art?
I would say the government doesn't really care if you think you are a business or you're not a business. If you're having any level of profit, you're a business. And so chicken or the egg, I think let's cut that out. Make yourself a business.
Great answer, especially for all the artists that are listening at home. If you're a young artist and you're, aspiring to really pursue this thing full time, yes, set yourself up to where you are able to take on these meetings, able to file your taxes at the end of the year.
Exactly.
And be able to facilitate, your potential growth.
For sure. And set yourself up for success. Like it should not be lost on anybody that like I don't know why I'm talking about the government so much, but like, but like they are, when you are a small business, they are here to help you. I will say that. If you set yourself up and you have a sole proprietorship, you will be able to start writing things off in your life. If you are actually working as a business, trying to make a profit, selling your work, trying to go out, put your stuff in galleries, like, like have, do murals, like do work. And like, if you really want to be a full-time artist, you're going to be good. Like if you set yourself up right, but if they come back to you later, that's how artists get screwed. That's how they get screwed straight out the gate. And that's why there is a concept of a starving artist. Like that is absolutely everything in my work, everything in like what I want to share, everything that I'm writing down, like truly gonna write a book, like hopefully soon. But like what you can do to set yourself up now so that you don't get hurt in the future.
Right.
And we share resources. Like we have to like make this a more substantial practice where we're sharing information.
I agree.
Yeah.
Our president of the board of directors, Abba Yehuda, was on our first episode, and we've had this conversation several times. We were talking about how do we remove that term starving
Mm-hmm.
from in front of artists. No other profession on the face of the earth has the word starving, struggling,
Nope. Nope.
Deprived,
Nope.
in front of it.
Nope.
And I feel like what you just said is one of the ways that we can, start with making sure that artists know, where to start. So it's like, yes, you
Yeah.
got a craft, you're good at this, or you're just, aspiring. I feel like, just even in thinking out loud, by setting yourself up as a sole proprietor, whether
Yeah.
your business is going to be art, whether it's going to be mosaic tile, whether it's going to be diapers,
Sure.
at least you have now set yourself up to where you can write things off,
Exactly.
be able to make these, important decisions that will shape your, finances and, the economy of how you operate with others.
100%.
So, yeah, thank
It's
you for sharing
incredibly
that.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super important. And I feel like, if you want to elaborate on it, you could just, I feel like, because even as artists, we, myself included in my younger days, we get so into our practice, which is also important, that 10,000 hours, of mastery.
100%. Yeah.
But the simultaneous conversation the conversation that should be had simultaneously is, the business practice of art.
Absolutely. And like this is where I think that people, it's tricky because I'm going to say it can be different sides of the brain, right?
Mhm.
Like it can be, oh, I'm just a creative, and like, oh, I am analytical, and like I love a spreadsheet. It can be both of those. Or it could be like, oh no, I want to be a functioning artist. I want to sustain this. I want to continue to do this for many, many, many more years, if not my entire life.
Right.
Therefore, I have to have this other education and marry those and move with that. And that could just be for a couple years until hypothetically you are successful enough where you can, like, always give away work to people who are experts.
Yeah.
if you have that, like, capacity to do so. But like outsourcing is a good thing, and I want to say that. But at the same time, for now, just having the basic understanding and the basic knowledge of these things is so crucial. So
Very.
you're not the person at the table who is like, people are talking at you, telling you stuff, and you're like, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
poker face.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that.
Got it. I know. And lying.
Yeah.
You're lying to them, you're lying to yourself. And it's just like, have a little, especially at the beginning of your practice, just like have a little basic knowledge and like do a year of like a boot camp. It's just get privy to this information, because that will set you up for so much more success. So you're not like the ding dong at the table and like, just saying yes, nodding your head and smiling.
Yeah. No, we were
That's
talking
it.
about it earlier, just as we, get into mosaic, and, it's just like, yes, finding that time to, just dive into something and learning the ins and out, whether it be a new craft, whether it be, taxes, whether it be the business behind your art. But I feel like, especially in this day and age, there's so many ways to where you can get your questions answered, even if you're like, how do I file taxes as an artist?
Yeah.
How do I, you can just Google it, and so many questions can set you on the right path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You just have to know what questions to ask, though.
That part.
That's the thing. So, yeah.
So shifting gears from the finance of business, and I wanted to, talk about, I mentioned your artwork at the beginning of the show that I saw over at the Square building a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago now. But more recently, I got a chance to come and see your exhibition, Through Lines.
Yes.
Over at what building was that?
It was 1500 Broadway, which was the previous Visco, the app Visco, photo editing app Visco.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that was their headquarters. Yeah.
Beautiful space.
Beautiful space.
Beautiful space. And
Yes.
beautiful artwork. And not even just the artwork that you had painted, but just, I want you to elaborate on it, but just to give a little bit of, introduction from my perspective when I got to see the show, definitely one of the best art shows that I've seen in years.
Thank you.
So kudos to you and
Thank
the rest
you.
of the team that helped produce that. The curation, the artwork, the subject matter, the women that you chose to highlight. Um, Everything I could tell was just so hand selected and put in this right place
Yeah.
that it seemed effortlessly.
Oh, that's
Um,
wonderful.
Can you tell me, first, give us a little bit more background about that whole show, and then I want to ask about, the hangups or any because it seems so effortless. It seems so, and I know with putting on any production,
Yeah.
it's always you
There's
got to
so
make it
much
look
more
good for
behind the
it's so much
scenes.
more behind the scenes. So just just giving people a little bit of introduction that haven't seen the show or maybe just heard word of it. What was the inspiration behind that show?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. So this show was truly, oh my gosh, this is like a jumping off point for me. So, as we just spoke about, I left architecture, and I'm going to be completely transparent. I was like pulling images, the people who I was painting prior to this show, and the inspiration for this show, were like images that I found off of Pinterest and like in magazines, or like, just beautiful shots that I thought had wonderful contrast, a beautiful woman, love the pose, love whatever. And there, as I was talking about, like I was a Sunday painter. And so it was just really just what I could paint in the short time that I had. And so I wasn't really thinking of things in like grander scale and like large shows, concept, blah, blah, blah. But I was just picking images. And so when I left my firm, I was thinking, I want to be a lot more intentional about who I'm painting and why, because this is going to be the first time, like the first show that I create in this period where I have all the time in the world now. And I want it to be meaningful.
Yeah.
And I want these pieces to be meaningful, and I want this body of work to be meaningful. And so I was thinking, like I paint Black and brown women, but who am I going to do now? And I had also gotten a little stick up at one point where somebody had seen an image that I had painted, and the photographer reached out to me. And this was something that I had pulled off the internet. And the photographer had reached out to me, and it had been sold to somebody who was like a little high profile. And they were really wanting, like, they were like, can you give credit to me, credit to the model, this, and that? And I was like, shit, yeah, of course. I'm going to let them know. Absolutely. It had just never like crossed my mind that this wasn't my original content. Obviously, it was something I found on the internet.
Yeah.
And like, I will say this as like recommendation to any artist, create your own content. Don't pull things from the internet, because like if you pass a certain threshold of like publicity for your work, you can get in trouble.
or artists cite the art, because the thing with the internet and Google searches is that it becomes this flat. I mean, I've done it several times where I'm just scrolling looking for that magical image, and I'm going through like a database of just photos, and it becomes so unconnected in the sense of you're just scrolling through these images, and you find the one and you're like, oh, I've been looking for, there you are. You put it into your Procreate and you're like, okay, I'm going to start working on this. And we forget that there was a whole photo shoot for this. There was a model for this. There was a light, like so much went behind the scenes for the production.
Absolutely.
That these people
should be credited.
Would love if you just mentioned, and I'm guilty of this as well too. And I've been on the other side of it where people have used my artwork where I'm like, hey,
whoa.
You know what? If you had just shouted me out, tagged me in it, I would have probably been cool. But now you've given me reason to talk about a lawsuit, or now you've given me a reason.
Exactly.
So this is what I don't want to happen to artists, and this is what Taylor is saying as well too.
Yeah.
It's always best to use your own photos, your own subject matter, but you don't always have, you got to start with what you have.
You have to start with what you have. But if you're using somebody else's work, always tell them, or one, permission, two, just credit.
Yeah.
That's really it. So that had happened. So I was like, I want to start from scratch, like square one, base layer. Like, let's have everything about this show like be from us.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I work from photos. So I want to find, an amazing local photographer. And I was like, oh, Brandon Ruffin, friend of mine. Of course, that's going to be him. So he shot all of the women for this show. Also, the show Throughline is, it's a through line through all of these different artistic mediums. Basically like an artistic pass the baton to one another, and create this multi-sensory immersive show. But it's also the through line through all of like these female Oakland pillars who are just change agents and like behind the scenes in so many different industries, making waves that people absolutely feel and see, but they don't know who's behind it.
Yeah.
But all Black women.
Yeah.
So winding back, Brandon starts it, Brandon Ruffin. And then I take his photographs and I paint from photographs. So I then paint those. And the paintings then go to Michael Wayne Turner III, who is just an incredible, incredible playwright, poet, just like
amazing
remarkable human thespian, just sweetest guy.
When you're in the room with him.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
Kind of walked up. We got there early, and he just kind of like
best.
walked up and almost felt like he was just one of the viewers, as he was just kind of like standing next to us and just, we were giving our 2 cents about what we thought.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like there, almost as if he was there for the first time.
Yeah.
Just giving his little 2 cents.
Yeah.
And then to see him later on curate the show, I'm like,
and then
what
and
a
perform.
giant. We're in a room with so many giants that have the humility to just take it all in with the rest of us.
Absolutely.
And that's,
it's the way that this man speaks makes you feel like, I am not a particularly religious person at all, but he makes you feel like you're in a spiritual setting and you're captivated.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable. He's a remarkable person. It's his presence. It's him. It's you feel that with certain people. And when I first saw him, I saw him perform, and then the next day I had to go back to the show. And then I started bringing people to the show. I think I saw his show like 6 times.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I was obsessed. And then I approached him about Throughline, and he was like, "Yeah, yes, absolutely, let's do it." Because it's on that same tip. I hope everybody saw Hot Matter, but and I always plug it shamelessly, but when you are with somebody or with other artists who captivate you so deeply, it's like all you want to do is just work with them, absorb and like work with them. It's like, how can I be a part of your energy? Like how can we create more?
Culminate,
Exactly. And so that's how I felt about all of these artists. And from Michael, it went to the culinary team, who I've always admired. Last Supper Society.
I almost forgot. The food was amazing, and the color combinations matched up with your paintings,
which was so beautiful because all of the dishes, there was an individual dish made for each of the women. And it was based off of the painting. It was based off the poetry. It was based off like literally like the texture in the painting and the colors and like the words and who the woman was, and what they do in the world. And so it was just so everything was so intentional about this show. And so there was like a sit down dinner with like, a bento box of all 13 dishes. So you could have a bite, and a beautifully curated menu explaining like the notes passed back and forth between me and the culinary team of just like, let's just brainstorm, and it's really raw. Everything is really raw yet refined. It's odd, but it's like that's what art
Refined.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's this mix with that like breaks down barriers. That's like it's not just like I'm walking into a white box gallery and like you get the final product. Here it is, and it's not that at all. It's like no, we're showing the behind the scenes. We had a videographer shoot all of the making of the show like over like a couple months, and it like we screened that, and so that people are like enchanted in the way that it's not just this final like visual product, but it's like, oh my god, I get it now. I get what's behind it, and I think that makes art so much more accessible, and like that's my goal here. And then last but not least, Mara Harubi, it was the vocalist who is basically like the whiskey nightcap at the end of the evening where everybody gathered, and she sang several songs that kind of encapsulated all of the women and their work and just like who women are in the world. And it's just really stunning, like multi-sensory experience again.
So I mean, it was just all great senses to where you were just like full when you left, like that pleasant fullness. Even from the very beginning when we were greeted during that at the entrance of the long corridor with like champagne, I was like, oh man. I mean, because it's like the little details. I was just like, oh wow, I felt seen and important. And then I saw like as everybody was coming in, there was somebody that was greeting. I was just like, and then it just opens up as you come from the corridor, and there's just like a whole world of, and you don't know it at that moment, you feel it, but like you're about to have all of your senses just stimulated.
Activated.
And you guys did an amazing job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Very special. And I want to speak on the space a little bit too, because there are a few like lesser known things about Throughline that are really core tenets of the show. And one is the space. I am very, very aware, like, number one, I am not one for a white box gallery, period. That's not a place that I necessarily feel comfortable in. I don't walk down the street and then like mosey on in, like, oh, I want that piece off the wall. Not me. Never gonna be me. But I will say that like when it comes to space making, as we were talking about earlier, it's so important to me to make a space feel very comfortable and inviting and warm and like disarming. So in that space, again, it was a tech building. And so we went and covered every single light panel with a yellow film, like an orange amber film, so that it brought down like the color temperature to make it feel like a living room. We put plants up everywhere. We had music playing. We brought in velvet couches and like a living room setting for Mara's performance area to basically kind of chop at like this normal notion of like, if I'm going to an art show, I'm going to be walking into this sterile environment. Like we just didn't want that at all. Like it's like you want people to be able to talk. You want people to feel comfortable and engage and like connect. And so that was really important, number one. But number two, the actual space in and of itself. I don't want to say that I'm anti-gallery. I'm not anti-gallery. I see the benefit in many galleries, but I am pro other alternatives.
For sure.
So this is.
And then what is the definition of a gallery, and how can space be transformed to show and exhibit artwork?
Exactly. Right. And so this is absolutely a gallery. Right. Like what we had was absolutely a gallery, but just like a different form in which, artists make 100% of their sales. For one, because the space was given to us in that, I've noticed, as we all have, if you live in Oakland or live in a major city at all, you see so many storefronts that are uninhabited.
Mhm.
And so I was like, what if we do a trade? I will bring you a lot of eyes if you give me your space for free. So
Sounds like a great
sounds like a
deal.
great trade.
Mhm.
And it's also like, it's community engagement
Yeah.
as well. And like, say it's a property management group who's just, they really do believe in the community and they actually want their building to be a part of like a rich environment in Oakland or in, you know, New York or DC or like Philly, wherever it is, but don't know what to do with their space yet or haven't had a tenant fill it.
Yeah.
Let us help you. Let artists, let the community help you
Yeah.
and fill it. And we will bring people to it and activate the block. Like, let's just do that.
And include it in the narrative of the city as it should be.
Absolutely. And so that was a really beautiful part. And I want everybody to take this. I want everybody to take this. Like, seriously, I think that so many spaces need to be activated. And so that was a really big part of this, and a really beautiful reason why we were able to have the space for so long. And because this property management group really supported the arts.
Yeah. Which, I feel like more corporate sectors are engaging artists and public art. It's it's always been a thing. I feel like, yes, who is being engaged is, changing.
Mm-hmm.
And would like to even speak to that as a Black female artist,
Mm-hmm.
who is in her, person, very successful and feel the energy exuding. But do you find or feel that there are any challenges as a Black female artist in the creative space, or do you supersede and, just not give energy to that?
More the latter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's always a space where people can like lean into like what is hard and like what is hard because of like me and my body, me as a person, like all of that. I just feel like I don't do that very frequently. I'm like, I think a lot of people who know me well would honestly say I might be one of those like very like toxically positive people.
Toxic positivity. Oh my God. Is that coined? We gotta Google that. I don't even think that's a term. I think you might be the first. You heard that here first on this podcast. Toxic positivity.
Yeah.
My God, you can do it. I love you.
Yeah, I think that is, but I say that to myself frequently. It's like, I don't see things as being an issue. If it's an issue, it's just like, okay, that's not for me. Go.
Yeah.
Done. Like, whatever. But like, I just don't focus on like I don't think of things as hard. It's just like, either it's a challenge or either it's not for me.
Yeah.
It's like a challenge that I can overcome or it's not for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like one or the other, go. And then if it's not, then it's not. And I have other things to focus on.
Yeah.
And so
100.
it's just, I think that like, actually, you know what? This is a part of my like toxic positivity trait is that I actually believe that women of color are in a really, really good position right now in terms of like the arts, in terms of grants. This is not me just saying this. This is actually when you look at grants, when you look at public funding, when you look at things being offered, like nonprofits, all of that, everything like citywide, nationwide, things are being offered to minorities out the wazoo.
And that's why I said the demographic of who, like these programs have always been there, but it's like who's being more accepted to, partner and be a part of these programs. And that's where I take on the same mentality as you. It's like, I always feel successful. I'm going to paint because I love it.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to hire me more for bigger projects great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Oh, more people of color are being introduced to these. Great. I would love to be a part of that, that number or
big time.
So,
and I think that a lot of people have this like shtick about Obviously, I don't think that they're really like, I don't want to say like post George Floyd, but like after the major movements in 2020, um, a lot of change happened really quickly. Hypothetically, change happened, and now people are like very upset that things aren't continuing. And I think it is actually, unfortunately, it always is on us to continue that work. But like, you can be mad at it and you can talk about it in that way, or you could just keep pressing along and pressing those people around that same narrative. And like,
what's going on, good people? Andre Jamora here, and as the executive director of the Bay Area Mural Program, I want to tell you about Chroma Paint. Chroma is our go-to brand, and we want to make sure it's your go-to brand too. Visit them at their website at chromaonline.com.
I just don't feel like I have time to like go woe is me, because I just want to continue to make better work and like share with the community and share my resources. And so I don't know.
No, that's good. It's, positive. It's so funny because, positive. You can't be toxic and positive at the same time, but we're going to coin this term to make sure that people, and it's so funny because
it's out there.
So when I was traveling through Ethiopia, this is one of those times, as you even say this term, is I would meet people and was in a culture where I would describe it as this toxic positivity, to where people were so positive and wanted to see you doing so good that it was almost like overbearing. They were like, have you eaten today? And you're like, no, I'm good. They're like, oh, you haven't eaten? You got to eat. Please eat. Eat for yourself. Eat for your grandmother. And you're like, oh my God. They start bringing in family members. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I should. But it's like so
like overwhelming.
But at the same time, this person only wants to make sure you're nourished and that you're good and well.
Oh my goodness. It's real.
So what is the level of your, are you that, how toxic is your positivity?
I just feel like I just don't love to just wallow and sit and like
it's
crap.
Not productive.
It's not productive. Don't have time for it. Like it's way easier. My mom, so quick anecdote. My mom, when she used to travel to Puerto Rico for work frequently, and I remember I had a party in high school and she came back and somebody had broken like one of her like very special vases and it had shattered, and she came back and I was like terrified that she was going to be so mad, and she came back and I was like, I'm so sorry, and she was like, it's okay, it's broken, let's just sweep it up, it's already done, don't be mad at it. Spilled milk, clean it up, like it's fine. Like let's move on, we're not going to put it back together. So it's just like, let's keep it trucking. And I have carried that through so much, and that's bled into so many things in my life, where it's just like, you know what? If something bad is going on, if something negative is going on, it's just like, okay, well, this isn't for me.
I'll go take a nap right now.
Go. Like, go. Let's move on. Like, I don't have time to sit and wallow.
Yeah.
So that's really it.
I'm right there with you. Matter of fact, my car windows got bipped yesterday while I was painting over at the grocery outlet. And was like, I packed up, called it quits for the day, and came back and parked in the same parking space so I could come finish this mural today.
Love.
And was just like, you know what?
Love.
What's going to happen is going to happen,
Absolutely.
But no one's going to stop me from my mission.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's really real. And I think, oddly enough, I'm going to share this right now, and this, whether you keep it in or take it out, it's totally fine. Similar experience the other day. I was pulling up to Throughline to actually fully clear out the space. And I was waiting about like 3-4 minutes for my business partner, Xavier, to come because we were going to go up together, and got out of my car, threw some trash away. I haven't talked about this at all, but walked across, was coming back to my car, and a car of 4 masked men were barreling towards me the wrong way down 15th. And they saw me see them, And I ran to my car, and before I was able to open my car, they all hopped out and got in my car and robbed me.
Wow.
And got back in their car and took off. And
They didn't take your car.
no, they didn't take my car. They just took my things. They didn't touch me, luckily. And I have been ruminating on this because this whole show is, at the beginning of every single show, we do a speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I had shared, Oakland gets a really bad rap.
It does.
It gets a really,
Some people
really,
don't help
really
it with
bad
this
rap.
rap either. But
No, not at all. And this whole show is about like honoring what's good here and the women who are making really, really solid change, and just trying to focus on the positive, positives of what is here and like what we need to nourish. And it was just the irony of that happening at the end of clearing out that show, and that happening was really jarring, but just, went upstairs and I kept working. And it's just like, you know what? They didn't touch me.
Yeah.
I am fine. There is a hard state here in the city, but it doesn't make the city bad.
Yeah.
And I really believe that.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting in my car. I'm still driving around. I'm not going to like stop. I'm like, but it's like, it's a really interesting thing to have this push and pull with the space.
Yeah.
But also like at the end of the day, it's like, this is home and I love it. And like home can be hard sometimes. And that's really it.
And just knowing that, it just, it helps with digesting hard moments like that, as opposed to try and place blame or trying to identify or even, wonder what you did wrong,
right,
or how you could have made this situation better.
Or be mad.
You really can't. And it's like, you need to process. I'm not telling anybody, everybody has different, ways of grieving, because it's a violation. And like, that's why I had to go home and take a
I went
nap.
through the motions. After that.
It's a violation, and you can't just tuck it under the rug. You need to have a moment of cathartic release or whatever your process is after some type of violence. But yeah, being able to process and keep moving, I feel like, is the key to life, is the key to our human existence. And placing blame, even when I study nature or animals, it's like, how many of them are just like, oh man, you don't see the gazelle like, this lion ate my cousin.
So like, mad and like grinding up on the lion, like, good luck. But
it's like, this is the cycle of life per se. This is the way, and it's like, you
can't go through life unscathed. I will say that.
That part. And you also have to remember, be safe, be aware, but also remember your mission.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And like I said, the crazy part, even when I got bipped, so I was up on a scissor lift, probably about like 15 feet up. I'm facing the wall. I'm in my zone. I'm painting. I don't wear headphones when I paint, just because I want to, be aware of my surroundings, especially in, shady, cutty little spots. Grocery outlet, parking lot, people are, buying their groceries, coming out. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm painting the wall, not facing my back, back to my car. And I just hear, psh, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. And I turn around and I just see this little joker's feet dangling out the back window of my car, and his feet just doing this, because I could tell he's scrambling, looking for something. And I'm like, hey, the shock value kicks in. I'm like, hey, get out of my car. I think because of the type of car I drive, he probably assumed it was, non-Black person who owned the car. But as soon as he heard my voice, oh my goodness, he tightened up like one of my kids. He just like, you saw him weasel back out of the car and just jump into his car real quick. And I was just like, why? And, I had that moment, but I was just like, it is what it is. Old lady buying her groceries, coming out to her car. She's like, baby, you don't have no alarm on your car? I'm like, ma'am, I'm right here.
Come
It
on.
doesn't matter what it is. And I was about to give her some smoke, and I was like, you know what? This smoke isn't even for her. Let me not even get into it with her. I see the security guard. He makes eye contact with me, and then he turns around and like walks away. I'm like, you know, at that point, I'm like, you know what? You're on your own here, buddy. So I finish up my couple of strokes, come down, clean up, and then pack it up. But then, returned out there this morning to the scene of the crime and was just like, you know what? I have a mural to paint.
Yeah.
And even when there's hurdles, we got to get over those hurdles.
It already happened.
It already happened.
It already
I parked
happened.
in the same parking lot, still see the glass on the ground.
Yep.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to own this.
That's my glass.
Yeah, that's my glass. And this is my spot where I'm going to do this
exactly.
painting. I mean, and really just finding the silver lining. You have to. And also the motivation. I feel like some of the greatest artwork is created out of hard times.
Yeah.
Out of the lack of whatever. So using that, fuel for the fire as motivation of like, oh yeah, you think you're going to stop this mural? You think I'm going to take 2-3 days off to go and I haven't even got my window fixed yet.
Yeah.
Because this mission, this mural, this artwork is so important to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's really it. It's bigger.
Yeah. And so I'm so sorry that you.
I am too, but it's okay.
But it's, like just seeing you and even like being that you haven't shared that with anybody or even that you came in and we had bagels and you were chopping it up and just kicking it like. Because I had the executive, the president of our board of directors. He had a similar experience. He didn't share it on camera, but we interviewed him as well too. And he was telling me off camera just how, it's really a violation, like especially when it's done at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And especially when you see the face or the, similar tone of color
100%
as yours. Mm-hmm. And you just have these like notions of like, should I, should I be scared? Should I, and it's really just being aware and just having to come to the conclusion that it's like, no, it's not everybody. Yes, I need to be aware, but I can't typecast and put all young people
absolutely not
into this category. Yes, I need to be aware at all times, especially when I'm in certain areas.
Yeah.
But I can't. Because you won't be able to live and fully enjoy life if you're walking around clutching onto your bag or your purse or you're not going to be able to smell the roses and enjoy, things if you're always just so, and it's that duality. It's tough because I'm sure there's some people be like, but you don't know my experience. And it's like, you know what? You're right. Hard experiences are hard experiences. I'm not telling anybody just to get over it.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is like, however you want to react to what happens to you is your prerogative.
Yeah.
That's really it. It's really it. And like this one was a hard one. I did take a few days, went away, went out of town. Like I did. And like I needed that. But like at the same time, it's how you're going to choose to like move forward if you want to.
Yeah.
Or if you're able
you have to.
If you're able to.
If you're able to,
as
but
well.
Life, and I feel like things are going to keep moving and progressing. So it's like, how are you going to, and you can take baby steps and you can be still, but things are going to still keep moving.
Going 2 feet, jumping forward.
So
don't need to sit in it.
With all of that, wow, I've had goosebumps. I've laughed. I shed a little dry cry on this episode.
A little dry cry. Love it.
So what's next for Taylor Smalls?
Oh my goodness.
What do you got on the horizon?
So much.
What can we look out for and just like really just be excited for from?
Yeah, so much. Very, very, very excited to continue this journey with Throughline, honestly.
So that's ongoing.
Oh, yeah.
Is it traveling? Is it going to be exhibited somewhere else? Can you tell?
Currently, yes. So right now, the show is at Pixar. Yeah.
I saw that.
It is at Pixar's headquarters.
Kudos
Thank you very
to you.
much.
For those that don't know, Pixar is right next door to Oakland in Berkeley, in
Emeryville.
Emeryville. Sorry, between Oakland and Berkeley.
Yep.
Emeryville, Pixar.
Yes.
And what an honor to have your work over. I've been in Pixar one
honor.
time. You need they have security upon security. You have to get invited into this place. You can tell me later how even you got the work up
I
in
will.
there. But it's so amazing when you go inside of Pixar. Did you get a tour?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I got specifically the Patty B tour, Patty Bonafino, and she is the groundskeeper there, and she's been there for I think 15 years, and she is just a remarkable person. But the tour is crazy.
you still want to be an
Crazy.
artist after going on the tour?
I'm like, I might try and work at Pixar at a later time in
Pixar,
my life.
I was going through emotions at Pixar because
Yeah.
I was so blown away. I think Coco had just came out when I
Yes.
went. So
Yeah.
they had a whole floor devoted to Coco and the sketches. And I was just like
Yep.
so inspired. But then when I got to like the final, I was just like, these guys are amazing.
Oh no, it's
These guys, I mean, like I was like, I can do this. I can do it. But then I was looking at it as well too. And I was just like, let me give my hats off to these phenomenal animators and artists inside of Pixar.
Wild.
Because the time and energy they put in there, the research that they put into
The research,
the
yeah, I will
artwork
say
and
that.
the animation, bananas.
Absolutely. And what's really beautiful too, part of the tour that I took was she took me up to the like artist studio. So there's a full-blown like shop and like art studio there where people are like physically making things and like clay models of like all of the characters and all of this stuff. And it's like, oh, if you're a sculptor, go to Pixar. If
Yeah.
you're a like somebody like an illustrator, go to Pixar. Like like there are so many different paths other than like I will just say like
Be the
do
illustrator.
studio work and then put it up in a gallery, or do studio work
Yeah.
and like or like mural work, like anything like that. It's like if you draw, if you sculpt, if you make work tangibly in any way, go to Pixar.
Yeah, it's so amazing because Pixar will open your mind to all the
Insane.
possibilities. I know everybody has seen a Pixar movie before.
Everybody has, yeah.
If you wait and watch the credits roll at the end and see how many artists and
my gosh.
animators worked on just 1 hour-long film.
Yep. A short, one of
Or
their
a short.
shorts.
I got a chance to do a mural for Frank Wright. Shout out to Frank, Yeah, he did a little short. That was during pandemic. We did a mural of his short downtown. But yes, the amount of artists that go into these productions.
One project, yeah.
And then you go into a place like Pixar and you see that somebody is just working on the 3D modeling. Somebody just does the blue sketches. Somebody does the black sketches on top of that. Somebody adds the color. There's a whole nother crew that just works on the background that only gets seen for like half a second.
Yeah.
It's
It's
ridiculous.
mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so works at Pixar right now, and I'm so honored to like be there.
Yeah.
Because I also, when we were hanging, there were multiple people who came up to us, like who were helping hang, and they were like, "This is the first time that non-Disney or Pixar art has ever been on the walls at Pixar, ever."
Can I touch you?
Oh.
That is just amazing. No,
And it's all
seriously.
Black women.
And it's all Black women. And I had to take note while I was in Pixar. It's something that I
Crazy.
do wherever I go. It's a part of my slave trauma. I count the amount of, when I go into corporate spaces, I'm I count the amount in my mind. I don't do it out loud, but I'm like, how many people
it out loud.
here do I see that look like me?
Yeah.
And if I see, it's instant eye contact and I
Yeah,
want
and
to
it's
know
like,
your last
we know,
name and
we
where
know.
you're from. And,
Yeah.
like
Very Get Out moment.
all within,
Yeah.
all within. But Pixar is like, get in. How'd you get in? Can
Yeah.
I get in?
Yes. No, seriously. Yeah. Yeah. So work is currently there. There are
Awesome.
10 or 11 pieces there right now. And then that's going to be up through July. And then we need to give them to their collectors because ultimately work needs to go to people. But
So there's owners of all the pieces.
almost. The show is almost completely sold.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Kudos
Oh,
to you.
Thank you. We're almost there. And post that, and also is happening right now, we are doing the next iteration. So we're calling it volumes, basically. So this was Throughline Volume 1, was Oakland, and Throughline Volume 2 is Washington, D.C.
How
Yeah.
many people know that? Is that
Not too many. I actually haven't shared that publicly. So before this
You
podcast
heard that
comes
here
out,
first?
yes, before this podcast comes out, I need to like post something. But
Well, we're not. Yes.
Yes.
We're not coming out until the summertime, so you got
Okay,
a little
good.
bit of time.
We have time. We have time.
But we are. You heard it here first.
Yes.
DC Taylor Smalls is coming. Oh my God! Do you have women shows already? What
we
is?
do. So this week was the first shoots.
Oh my
Yeah,
God! So amazing.
Yeah, this week was really wonderful because it was the first DC trip, and we shot the first 4 women. And late next month, will be the next 5, and then there will be one more trip.
That's so special because DC is my old stomping grounds.
I did not know that.
I was born in Northern Virginia. I hung out at all the Howard homecomings. Like
what?
My son goes to Howard for those. Yeah. Like DC,
Okay.
my
dad went to Howard. My aunts went to Howard. Yeah.
DC, oh my God, we are
families from Alexandria. Yeah.
Your family is?
My family's from Alexandria.
I was born in Alexandria.
Oh my God.
Right there on Route 1, the highway. Oh my God. Are we related?
Are we?
Sister.
Maybe.
Cousin. No, this is great. Oh man, so many connections.
Absolutely. So you'll have to come to the DC show. It'll be at the end of the year. You have to.
Yeah, and bring my family. This is why we have Canvas Conversations, so that we can get to the bottom of where we all need to be hanging out at and traveling to.
That's it. Awesome. Exactly. So yeah, so next iteration coming, and it's going to be really beautiful because we are, again, through lines, right? Not to be corny, but I'll be the consistent painter through all of the shows in each city. But the other artists will be local artists. And then, of course, all of the women will be local women.
Nice.
That are being honored. So we're doing, another meeting later today, like starting to hone down the last few women, but we have the artists in place and all of that. So yeah.
So amazing.
Building.
Oh man. Can you paint my mama? No, I'm just joking.
Can you? Yeah.
See, Mom, I tried.
I
tried to plug you. No.
I love it.
Oh man, that is amazing. We definitely got to come to DC. But before we leave, what can people go and because you can't get into Pixar to see the show. So, and then the artwork is going to collectors afterwards. What is the next, iteration here in the Bay Area for Taylor Smalls, or where can people see some of your work?
Well, I think I want to knock on wood on this, and I don't know if I should share this. I'm not going to say a name. Yeah, I'm going to not. But I'm not going to share a name. But there is going to be at least a very nice cocktail lounge, 2 very nice cocktail lounges. That work will be up at least like large scale prints of this show will be up at, but always and forever, Kim Folks. I will forever and ever plug Kim Folks.
Shout out to Kim Folks.
Yes. And then of course Sober Mesa. I will always have work at both of those spaces.
Yeah. So, no, Kim Folks definitely want to shout them out for just putting so many artists in visible sight in the downtown Oakland area, especially of color, just a place for melanated people to gather, to exhibit, to congregate, and to feel, to feel seen. To feel seen. To feel it's more than a safe space. It is an amazing space of just creativity and networking possibilities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It always feels good. It always feels good to be there, but you could be going there just to like have a quick glass of wine or coffee, or like really be having a serious business meeting, or like honestly doing a teach-in and like learning something, or going to dance
and
too.
It always
just
feels adequate.
Feels so good. Yeah.
I've had a few meetings there, or just interactions, Zooms, in persons, and it's just like I feel I feel
your kinfolk.
Melanated prestige when I do a meeting there. If so I know it's other, professionals there, other, and even just as a backdrop, I'm always just like, yes. Yeah. Here I am at Kinfolk. See my kinfolk in the background as I give you my spiel.
Well, Creighton's going to love that.
No, awesome.
This is such a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure talking with you. And truly. I'm so glad we got you on the show to actually, get some of this out, because we've had some of these conversations behind the scenes. But exactly. To really go the whole gamut and just, like I said, goosebumps, tears, smiles, and laughs. It's just always a pleasure to have you.
Well, I very much appreciate you. And thank you for making this space and this podcast. I'm so excited to listen to everybody else who's on it too.
Yeah.
Really appreciate
Excellent.
it.
Be on the lookout for more dope podcasts. I'm your host, Natty Rebel, aka Andre Jamora, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll see you on the next podcast. Peace.
Yay.
Give me the paint, give me the chalk, give me the urban artist talk. Give me the paint, give me the chalk, give me the urban artist talk.